Another well-deserved Hall of Famer is our next inductee, and that's a very familiar voice at the ballpark throughout his time with the Colonels and at Veterans Memorial Stadium, and that's Dale Brodt.
Dale Brodt began as the public address announcer in Old Veterans Memorial Stadium and has done over 1,700 minor league baseball games. He was in broadcasting for over 30 years, starting in his hometown of Mason City, Iowa in 1957. He then worked at stations in Cherokee and Olwine before moving to Cedar Rapids, where he was a news reporter for 20 years at KLWW and KCRG-TV. After his broadcasting career, Brodt went to work for the city of Cedar Rapids, where he retired as the chief zoning inspector in 2003. He and his wife, Rena, have been married 56 years. Brodt is a big fan of the Cleveland Indians and enjoys bowling, golf, and has an extensive record and CD collection. He is a member of the Board of Trustees of the Cedar Rapids Elks Lodge. We welcome Dale Brodt to the Cedar Rapids Baseball Club Hall of Fame.
Congratulations to Dale, and as he makes his way to the stage here tonight, Dale, the proud father of 4 children, he has 6 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, many of them here tonight off to my left. Let's hear it again for Dale Brodt.
Thank you so much. I want to share this honor with Tom Lawless and Reggie Sanders. Reggie, I recall very well. You could just tell when he was with the Reds back in 1990 that he was destined for the major leagues. I wasn't a professional scout, but I could still tell that he had the tools to be a major league ball player. Tom Lawless, we worked with him for about 3 years. Tom, I recall as a no-sense, no-nonsense kind of a guy. When we were at the old ballpark, one of the duties was to get the lineups from the managers before the game and to check on pronunciations of unusual players' names. Well, sometimes Tom was willing to help, and sometimes it took a little effort to get it out of him, but it all worked out in the end. I have the honor of introducing the family members who are with me this evening. First, my lovely wife, Rena, who's put up with me for 59 years since we first met in 1959. Wait, that was in 1957. It's 59 when we got married. I have my children here, my daughters, Chris, Sherry, Cheryl, and my son, Scott. I have Cheryl's husband here, and that's Bill Lehman, who's spent a little time at the ballpark over the years putting in scoreboards. We have our granddaughter, Chloe, and my grandson, Colin here. Those are Cheryl and Bill's children. I have also my daughter, Sherry, with her 2 sons, Adam and Mitchell, and Adam's fiance, Crystal, and my daughter Sherry's best friend, Craig, what's his last name? Oh. Craig is here today. I also want to take time to thank all the people who have made this possible. First of all, Bucky Buckheister, who hired me back in 1987. I'd been out of broadcasting for about a year. Baseball was one of my passions, and announcing and radio were my passions. So when I heard that he was looking for somebody to do the PA work, I went over and applied and was hired, and I was there until 1911. When Bucky left, Jack Rader came along. And as you know in broadcasting, when there's a new management person coming in, your job could be in jeopardy, and I was worried about whether Jack would keep me around. But thankfully he did, and we shared some many good times over the period that Jack was general manager. I also want to thank Doug Nelson, who put up with me for a few years. I also want to especially thank all the past and present members of the board of directors. They have been just wonderful. When we were at the old ballpark, they had a lot of special events for the players during the course of the year, and they invited me to join them at those, and that was really special. I also want to pay special thanks to Wally Krause, who couldn't be here this evening, but Wally, when we were watching one of the games last summer, told me, while we were sitting there in the press box watching the games, he said, "We're thinking about putting you in the Hall of Fame." I said, "You got to be kidding me." And then when we were there for the playoff games, he said, "It's a done deal." I said, "You still got to be kidding me." And it is like a dream to be in the Hall of Fame. I am honored and humbled to have been chosen to join all the other people who have been inducted into the Colonel's Hall of Fame over these years. As I said, I started my career with the Colonels, then the Reds at the old ballpark, and that was a treat in itself. The press box was accessed by a catwalk at the back of the grandstand, and when you got up there, we were exposed to the elements because there were no windows in the press box. There were huge, heavy doors that we had to lift and hook to some chains hanging from the roof. About 4 years later, they did install windows, and they put in air conditioning, but that wasn't for our benefit. That was so they could rent out the other half of the press box for group outings. The other thing I remember about the old stadium, it was more like a mom and pop operation, not the high class, heavily, doesn't have as many employees as we did then. There was Bucky and his wife in the office, and when Jack came around, there was Nancy Cram, and then we can't forget Bud Curran, who took care of the field. The other things that I would like to remember is Jack was kind enough to take me to many of the All-Star games during the course of the years, and there's two that I especially remember. The All-Star games in Grand Rapids and Lansing. Grand Rapids, they had the stadium north of town, so everybody at the event was bussed out to the ballpark for the game that night. And I had the honor of sitting next to a pitcher by the name of Juan Marichal on that bus ride, which was a special treat. And then at Lansing, the hotel was within walking distance, and Jack, don't hold this against me if I tell this story. The hotel was within walking distance, and after the game, we stopped at a little watering hole along the way back to the hotel. We were there for a half hour, 45 minutes, and as we were leaving the bar, we heard shots ring out. Well, we didn't know what the heck was going on, but I'll tell you, we got out of there in a hurry and probably ran as fast as we've ever run in our lives. I really got a lot of experience in PA work and announcing when I was still a kid in high school and after high school. The athletic director at Mason City High School offered me the opportunity to do PA announcing for high school basketball and junior college basketball games. And then I was hired to do some games for the semi-pro league, which played in the summer in Mason City. And that's where I really started working at a baseball park in the concession stands. We had to be there in the morning to sack peanuts if we wanted to work in concessions that night, because peanuts didn't come in prepackaged containers like they do today. And we did, you first picked up empty pop bottles. Pop still came in bottles then. And then you graduated to sell-frost sticks and popcorn and peanuts. It's been a wonderful ride, and I really appreciate the fact that I have been chosen to be inducted into the Colonel's Hall of Fame, and I will cherish this memory forever. Thank you very much.